Welcome to the channel, everyone. I'm Skratch. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Hope you guys are having an amazing Friday. Wish you guys an amazing weekend. In today's video, guys, we're gonna have a look at a couple of new features coming to Raid Shadow Legends in the next patch, or rather said, one feature and new champions. We can't really call the champions new features, right? I am currently on the test server, guys, and I think I'm pumped for it, but I'm not 100% sure just yet because we've been requesting this for a very, very long time, and I feel like Plarium is about to deliver. Now, this is a bit made on speculation. If you're gonna head over to the dungeons, not just yet, but if I'm gonna head over to the dungeons, you're going to see that we have a new thing coming soon. Now, in my opinion, this is going to be a silver dungeon. We've been requesting a silver dungeon for a very long time, constantly telling Plarium that we have issues with the silver in the game in terms of economy and stuff. And if I remember it correctly, I think at some point they mentioned that they are considering in making a silver dungeon, you know? So I feel like this is going to be that one. Now, it's pretty hard to kind of like think of what else it could be. We might get a completely brand new dungeon that has nothing to do with the silver. But I'm 95% that this is actually a silver dungeon. Even looking at the color of the avatar, is a bit of gold, silverish sort of vibe in there. It looks interesting. And considering that it's not added at the end right here, so to expand the map even more, and considering that it's next to the keeps, next to the Mino, that tells me that this most probably is going to be a silver dungeon. Now, I'm not sure how costly it's going to be. One thing that I am hoping, to be honest with you guys, is allowing us to have 6 or 12 keys daily to farm this with no energy, okay? So I'm hoping that this dungeon will not require any form of energy whatsoever. Of course, that's more of a dream, right? Probably it will require energy, and most probably you're gonna be able to farm it similar with a spider, the ice golem, the force, the keeps in general, you know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think it's going to be something else rather than a silver dungeon? I'm not sure if this comes in the next patch with the champions, because we haven't really got any information about it whatsoever. We've been told initially to kind of like try and skip this part, you know, to try and don't talk about it. But then I constantly kind of like try to squeeze a bit of more info from there, so we can talk about it, but we don't really know exactly what is going to be just yet. I do think it's a silver dungeon, but let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. As mentioned, we will have brand new champions, guys. We actually have a couple of interesting champions. Now, we do have a new faction unity for the Skinwalkers, if I'm not mistaken. We have not a cow anymore, because this is not a cow, but it's kind of like a Minotaur, right? It's like a Minotaur sort of thingy. He does look pretty interesting. Now, in terms of skills, I don't necessarily think that he's something super OP, at least not for PvP anyway, but overall, he's not a bad champion. Definitely not going to jump onto summon for this one. I feel I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson with the lizard, guys. You know, I learned my lesson with the lizard. I'm just... These faction unity champions are just not meant for me, you know? They're just not meant for me. With A1, attacks one enemy 2 times. After the second hit, heals all allies by 5% of this champion's max HP, which is actually pretty nice. Also has a 10% chance to grant an extra turn. With the A2, attacks one enemy, has a chance to land defense down. After attacking the initial target, attacks all other enemy, and has a chance of placing a defense down for 2 turns. I'm not sure how good are the multipliers on this champion, to be honest. I haven't really tested him just yet, but I will be dropping a video on the champion probably tomorrow or the day after. I do want to try him out in Hydra to just see what sort of firepower he can have. AoE defense down is definitely nice. Then the A3 attacks all enemies 2 times. Each hit has a chance to place a stun for 1 turn. So it's pretty much guaranteed to stun the enemy, you know, even if the first hit will get a 3% chance, the second is very unlikely to get it. Of course, weak hits can occur. Now, if you have one faction ally from the Skinwalkers, before attacking has a chance to remove all buffs from all enemies. That's actually really, really nice. Having 2 faction allies fills this champion's turn meter by 15% for each stun debuff placed by this skill. So you can instantly get 60-75% turn meter. 3 faction allies. This skill will ignore 50% of each target's resistance. That means that you can build this champion with lower accuracy, which is actually pretty nice. And then you have the passive. When an ally uses a multi-hit skill, each subsequent hit after the first deals 15% more damage. Brackus, I am talking about you. Razelvarg, I am talking about you. So I feel like pairing Bolin with Razelvarg for a Hydra team, you might be able to get some nice results. But the thing is, Razelvarg hits with the A1 a few times, right? And the other ones are just AoEs. I can't remember if he has an AoE that's a double hitter or no, to actually really gain a lot of value, you know? Then, when you have two faction allies, or actually when you have one faction ally, whenever an ally hits an enemy, has a chance to place a stun. So all of the team, basically. When you have two faction allies, whenever an ally inflicts a critical hit, fills their turn meter by 5%. That's actually pretty nice. And three faction allies, allies will ignore 30% of defense against enemies under a stun debuff, which is underwhelming. It's not good for bosses and stuff, you know, so it's a bit of a shame with that. And then, of course, you have the Aura increases ally speed in arena battles by 24% and increases the accuracy in all battles by 60%, but only for the Skinwalkers. And we have another brand new mythical champion. Of course, I do have both of the champions that are getting a rebalance, Lady of Irat, and we have, of course, Noble, who got a bit of a change. So we have them available. I will be doing videos on at least one of them in the next couple of days. Probably on Noble, seems to be a bit more interesting. But the new mythical champion, it will be from the Orc faction, guys. We have HP and defense, and we have Ashnar. Looks pretty badass. Like, I love the design on this champion. Overall, I feel like he's a pretty decent, interesting champion. I don't think he's really meant for PvP, to be honest with you guys. Pretty good base stats, 23k HP. So with the A1, attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a chance to increase the duration of a HP burn on the target by 1 turn. This can be decent for the Fire Knight, maybe. The A2 attacks all enemies, instantly activates all HP burn debuffs on all enemies and allies. So on the allies too. Now, whenever a HP burn debuff is activated on an enemy by this skill, decreases the resistance by 10, stacking up to 100, which is massive for the Hydra. Whenever a HP burn debuff is activated on an ally by this skill, increases the resistance by 100. So you're going to get 100 resistance on your team, and you're going to decrease the resistance on the enemies by 100. Also, fills the turn meter of all allies by 5% for each HP burn debuff activated on enemies. So it allows you to rotate more often. This is on a 4-turn cooldown. Then you have the A3 on a 3-turn cooldown. Places a weaken debuff and an HP burn debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Also places an HP burn debuff on all allies for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be blocked or resisted. Then fills the turn meter of all allies by 30%. So you're getting a lot of turn meter from this champion. Bringing in weaken, bringing in HP burn. I feel like it's definitely pretty interesting for PvE. Of course, you have the Metamorph and the passive. Each active HP burn debuff placed by this champion increases their max HP by 5%, stacking up to 25, which will help him to increase the damage. And HP burn debuffs placed on allies heal them instead of damaging them. So that's massive. You're going to get healing, turn meter, potentially damage. I'm definitely looking forward to test this champion out. And we have an HP aura for all battles, 35%. The Metamorph, let's see. Okay, he looks even more badass. Love the weapon and the flames on the skull, you know. So, again, the stats are decent, but now he's a defense-based champion. With the A1, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a chance of repeating once if the target is under a HP burn. So this sounds like Quintus to me. Who knows? The A2 attacks one enemy. If the initial target is under an HP burn debuff, will repeat the attack on all enemies. This repeated attack will ignore 20% of the target's defense. So that's actually very nice. Then you have the A3. Attacks all enemies. Before attacking, places an increased defense buff and an increased crit damage buff on this champion for 2 turns. Super nice. Booked on a 3-turn cooldown. Then places a provoke debuff for 1 turn on targets under a HP burn debuff. If the target of this skill is a boss under a HP burn, places a provoke for 2 turns instead. This attack cannot weak hit when hitting enemies under an HP burn. So that's actually amazing for the Hydra clan boss to control the Head of Decay. It sounds like he brings a lot of utility. Now, the main problem, the chicken sounded exactly the same. I do think this overall sounds better on paper than the chicken, but I'm just hoping that this champion will actually bring in damage and not just the fancy words in his kit description. The passive, all of these champion skills will ignore 15% of the defense if they are under a HP burn debuff. So this actually sounds even better because you're going to ignore more defense, meaning you're going to deal more damage. And of course, allies under a HP burn will get to heal instead of taking the damage from it. But these are the new champions coming to the game with most likely the new silver dungeon guys. I'm not sure if if all three will come together. I would expect so. That's why we have it in the game on the test server. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. As usual, appreciate all of you guys watching. Much love, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.